In this video on Google Sheets, I'm going to show you how to count cells. We're going to try using the count function, count A, count blank, and count unique. All of these are different ways to get some automatic calculations along with your Google Sheets that will update with changes in the data. If you want to download this sheet so you can work on it on your own, either click up here under the attachments or check down in the description. Let's get started. All right, first thing we're going to do is using the equals count sign. Now this thing here is going to allow us to count cells with numbers. Let me demonstrate. I'm going to put it right up here in G1. That way even when I move around it won't actually move. So I'm going to type equal sign because I'm going to be putting in a formula. All formulas start with the equal sign. And I'm going to do count. In this case right here, I'm going to try doing F2 to F. So it's going to be counting all the different cells in here that have numbers. I'm not going to be adding them up. I'm just going to be counting and seeing how many cells I actually have. So equal sign count F2 to F, and it's going to give me 279. If I scroll down, I'm going to see, yep, I had 280 minus 1 because I'm not actually counting this top one here. So what this really is it's counting all of the number of cells I have that have a number. If I was to go in here and delete one, that would auto change to reflect that. What this won't do is it's not going to count to see if there's anything that's actually a string, anything that's text. Let me change this from F2 to F. So A2 to A. Now, in this case right here, it's going to be looking for everything with a number, and it's going to come back as a 0, because you'll notice that all of these here are not numbers. Now, of course, some of them actually have numbers in there, but it's not counting that as a number it can do calculation. It's counting that as a string, a piece of text. So count is not going to be good if you're trying to get how many things actually have text. To do that, we're going to try a different function. We're going to use equal sign count A. This is just basically going to count and see, hey, how many things do I actually have in this set of data total? So if I try A2 to A, here it's going to come back with 279 because now it's saying there are 279 actual entries in here. If I was to delete one, that number would change to reflect it. So count A is not going to be looking for numbers, it's going to be looking for any cell that's not empty. Now, I can do more than just a straight up column of that. I could do count from A2 all the way to F. So now it's going to be counting every single cell in here, whether or not it's got a number or whether or not it doesn't. This is going to be 1,674, which is going to be all of these multiplied by how many we have down there. That's how many different entries I have. Anything that comes up none, that one is going to count as well, but blanks will not. If I was to try this again with, instead of count A, counting anything, if I was to try this with just count, it's going to come back with a lot less because it's not going to count anything that actually has this group of text. It's only going to be looking for numbers, which would be this column, this column, this column, and that column. So that is count in count A. Now I've got another one called count blank. This one I particularly like, and I use this a lot in my school. So I'm going to do equal sign count blank. And I'm going to do this from A2 to A. So it's basically going to be doing everything in the A column. This is going to come back with a list of 10. And I could scroll through it trying to find the blanks, and you might be wondering, where are the blanks? The issue is right here, I actually have them hidden. If I unhide them, there I can see it. Right here, I just have 10 at the bottom there. If I was to add 1,000 more rows at the bottom, this thing here just jumped to 1,010. So count blank is actually going to be really good for counting how many things have yet to have an entry in there. As an example of how I use count blank in my spreadsheets, I'm going to show a simulation that I created for my school. Now this is something where students are going to be looking at different colors of light, and they're going to actually be trying to see how high the actual plant will grow. So they're going to be graphing out the color of the light versus the height of the plant. What I have up top here is a nice way of letting them know, hey, you have 45 data points to put in, and you have 4 questions that you haven't completed here. These 4 right here. Now what's nice is these numbers are going to change to reflect how much they still have to put in, so it's constantly reminding them. So let's start by putting in this first set of data right here. And you'll see that as I entered those here, not only averaged it out, but it changed it from 45 data points to 42 data points. As I continue, it's going to continue to count down, essentially telling them, hey, you're not all the way done yet, you have these many more things. I'm going to paste in the rest of the data. You'll see that it's reflecting right here the change in the counts. And once I got all the way completed, I used an if statement and concatenate statement to tell me that everything is entered right here. Now it's saying I have 4 questions remaining. I could say what color of the light is best for growth. Well, that's easy. That's blue. Worst for growth, that one's also easy. That one is green. Plant type grew best. Well, I can look at the average here, which I already set up. That is clearly spinach. And then here I'm looking for a text entry, why are plants green? And here they can fill in a text box. Now what I've done here is it's saying all questions are answered. Before I had this thing filled in, it was still saying that I had one question remaining. This again is using the count blank feature. And what I have here is I've actually hidden these numbers so that the students actually won't encounter them, but here they are down there. So it's a very simple thing that I have here. I'm counting all of these, all of these, and all of these. I'm going to delete that and show you how I created it. So I do right here, I'm going to do an equal sign and I'm going to do count blank. And before I was doing an A2 to A, here I'm going to be doing a range. So it's going to be B8 to F10. And you don't need to have that memorized. You don't even need to look at it. I'm just clicking and dragging. The nice thing is if I hit the comma, it's going to allow me to add a second range. My second range is going to be right here. I'm going to hit comma again. And my third range right there. Close the parentheses, hit return, and now it's telling me how many data points I still have. If I take out a couple right there, that count blank is going to say of all of these, 3 of them are still blank, and that's going to change that to reflect it. The second one I have is the same idea, but I'm counting to see how many they have blank right here. I'll delete that one to show you how I did that one again. So I hit the equal sign, count blank, and now I'm going to click on the cell that I want, hit comma, cell, comma, cell, comma. Here's my last one. Close the parentheses, and now it's going to be changing to reflect it. If I was to delete that, this number is going to change to reflect that, and that's going to be reflected up here in my formula that we'll get to later on. Again, a nice, powerful little tool that I'm able to create using nothing but the count blank feature. As an example of how I use count A and count blank formulas in actually my own life, I wanted to show an example of how I was actually setting up all these recordings. I had a goal of 1 hour and 40 minutes, and I was cataloging how long my actual lessons were, what they were, and I wanted to see, hey, what is my average future recording? If I'm doing more recordings, how long do they need to be on average to make sure I hit my target? Well, I set it up like this, and there's a couple different formulas I can use. To get my total, I'm just going to do a sum. To get the remaining, that one's pretty easy. I'm just going to take one and subtract it from the other. To get the average length, I'm just going to use the average feature. And to get the average future recording, this part here is where I'm actually going to have to do my counts. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a count A to see how many I've actually created. So that's me equal sign, count A, and I'm going to do C3 to C13, and that's going to give me a count. There are 4 entries in here. To get my lessons remaining, I'm going to do a count blank, C3 to C13. So I have 4 done, 7 remaining. If I'm to put a piece of text in there, everything's going to change to reflect that. Now, to get the average future recording, I'm going to take the remaining time I have, which is going to be C16, the 53 minutes, and I'm going to divide that by how many lessons I still have to record, which in this case is going to be down there. That's going to tell me my average future recording length is going to need to be 7 minutes and 42 seconds. If I'm looking at the actual equations with my control tilde, you can see right here I'm using a count A and count blank. All those together give me the information that I need to go forward from here. The final thing that I'm going to show here is what's called count unique. This one, as it sounds, is going to count the number of different things I have in a set range. So I'm going to do count unique. I'm going to do A2 to A. Now, it's coming up with only 247. If I'm to see how many I have total, we can clearly see there's 247 of them that are unique, 279 of them total. From here, I could actually calculate what percentage of them is a new name. What percentage of them is not repeated? Well, that's just going to be a simple division in percentage. It's giving me 0.885. I could go up here and click percent, and I can see 88.53% of them are going to be unique names. Now, obviously, this one right here, Star Wars number 3 and Star Wars number 1, I could simplify those. And you can see it's actually changing that to reflect. My total number won't change, but the number of unique names dropped a little bit here because it saw that these ones were essentially the exact same. So this is using count unique and count A, and from there I'm able to come up with a pretty cool percentage that tells me what percentage of them is actually new names in here.